Love and loss are inseparable, two sides of the same coin. To love is to risk losing, and to lose is to affirm the value of what once was. The Stoics, masters of understanding the nature of human emotions, teach us how to navigate the stormy seas of attachment and separation with wisdom and grace. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." At first glance, this advice might seem cold, especially when we think about something as intimate and powerful as love. But it isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about aligning ourselves with the nature of reality. Love, by its very nature, is impermanent. People change, circumstances shift, death is inevitable. What the Stoics remind us is that clinging to an illusion of permanence is what deepens the pain of loss. When you experience loss, whether it is the end of a relationship or the passing of someone dear, the initial instinct is often resistance. This shouldn't have happened, we tell ourselves. This isn't fair. But the Stoic perspective invites us to question these thoughts. Should it not have happened? The loss has already occurred. It is now a fact of the universe. Resisting it is like trying to stop the tide with your bare hands. It doesn't work, and worse, it creates unnecessary suffering. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, offers profound guidance in his Meditations. He reminds us to view loss not as a tragedy, but as part of the natural order of life. He writes, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." The emphasis here is on love, but love tempered by reason. Love fully, but do not forget the impermanence of all things. This doesn't mean you should hold back. Rather, it means you should cherish each moment as it comes, understanding that it cannot last forever. The Stoics were not unfeeling. They experienced love, joy, and grief just as we do, but they trained themselves to approach these emotions with a sense of perspective. Seneca, who experienced personal losses throughout his life, speaks of the importance of gratitude. He suggests that instead of lamenting what is gone, we should feel thankful for what we had. He writes, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." This isn't despair. It's a reminder to focus on the gift of the time we shared with those we love. Even in loss, there is beauty. Beauty in the memories, in the lessons, and in the simple fact that we were able to love at all. Now, what about letting go? This is where Stoicism truly shines. The art of letting go begins with understanding control. The Stoics divide all things into two categories: what is within our control and what is not. Love, though precious, often involves elements beyond our control. You cannot make someone stay. You cannot prevent death. You cannot undo what has already happened. What you can control is your response, how you choose to think about the situation, how you choose to carry forward. Epictetus advises us to reframe our thoughts about loss. Instead of saying, "I have lost this person," try thinking, "I have returned them." This doesn't diminish the value of the relationship. Rather, it acknowledges that all things in life are borrowed. We don't own anything, not even the people we love. By adopting this mindset, we free ourselves from the chains of possession and begin to let go with grace. This doesn't mean the pain of loss disappears. Stoicism isn't about eradicating emotions. It's about understanding and mastering them. Pain is natural, but suffering, prolonged self-inflicted agony, is optional. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. In other words, it is our interpretation of loss, not the loss itself, that causes prolonged suffering. By examining and reframing our thoughts, we can begin to heal. One of the most powerful Stoic practices for dealing with loss is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves imagining in advance the possibility of loss. Far from being morbid, this practice prepares the mind for the inevitable changes of life. If we regularly remind ourselves that we could lose what we love, we cultivate a deeper appreciation for it in the present moment. And when loss does come, it does not catch us entirely unprepared. It's also worth noting that Stoicism does not advocate isolation. Love is a vital part of life, and to avoid it out of fear of loss would be contrary to Stoic teachings. The Stoics encourage us to engage fully with life, to form meaningful relationships, and to contribute to the well-being of others. Love is not a weakness, it is a strength, but it is a strength that must be accompanied by wisdom. To love wisely is to love without clinging, to hold dear without attempting to possess. Think of love like a beautiful vase. You cherish it, admire it, and take care of it, but you also know that it could fall and shatter at any moment. This knowledge doesn't diminish your enjoyment of the vase, it enhances it. Every glance at it becomes more precious, every moment with it more meaningful. The same is true for love. Knowing it is impermanent doesn't make it less valuable, it makes it infinitely more so. The Stoic approach to love and loss is about living with an open heart and a clear mind. Love deeply, but let go when the time comes. Feel the pain of loss, but do not let it consume you. Cherish the memory of what was, but do not cling to it at the expense of the present. Life, fleeting and unpredictable, is to be embraced in all its forms: joy and sorrow, love and loss. As Marcus Aurelius puts it, do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands at your elbow. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. The love you give and the love you lose are both part of this fleeting, beautiful existence. Honor them, but do not let them rule you. In this balance lies the secret to letting go, and in letting go, you find the freedom to live and love again. The Stoics invite us to recognize the paradoxical power of impermanence. It is precisely because life is fleeting that it holds value. This understanding is not a denial of love's importance, but an affirmation of its unique and fragile beauty. To practice Stoicism in the face of love and loss is to live in harmony with this truth rather than in rebellion against it. Consider the idea of the sympatheia, the Stoic belief in the interconnectedness of all things. When we lose someone we love, it can feel as though we are cut off, isolated in our grief. But the Stoics remind us that we are never truly alone. The person we have lost was part of the greater whole, as are we. Their essence, what they meant to us, the ways they shaped our lives, remains woven into the fabric of existence. In this sense, loss is not an end, but a transformation. The love we shared becomes part of who we are and part of the universe itself. This interconnectedness also teaches us humility. We are reminded that we are not masters of the world, but participants in it. When we grieve, we are often grieving not only for the person or relationship, but for the loss of control, the shattering of our expectations. We had envisioned a future that is no longer possible. Yet the Stoics encourage us to ask, was that future ever guaranteed? Were those expectations ever more than a fragile construct of our minds? To let go is to accept that the universe does not revolve around our desires. It continues, indifferent to our personal losses. And yet, within this indifference lies a profound sense of freedom. If we can let go of our need to control the uncontrollable, we can find peace even in the midst of sorrow. Epictetus reminds us, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself has the power to break my freedom of choice." In the context of love and loss, this freedom lies in choosing how we respond. We cannot control what happens, but we can control the meaning we ascribe to it. The Stoic practice of amor fati, or the love of fate, is particularly relevant here. This philosophy invites us to embrace everything that happens, not just to accept it grudgingly, but to actively love it. This may sound impossible in the wake of profound loss, but consider what it means. To love fate is to see every experience, even the painful ones, as a necessary part of our journey. It is to trust that there is wisdom in the unfolding of events, even if we cannot yet perceive it. Through amor fati, we learn to stop resisting reality and instead find meaning within it. Memory, too, plays a crucial role in the Stoic approach to loss. Seneca speaks of keeping the dead alive in our thoughts, not with a sense of morbid attachment, but with gratitude and reverence. He writes, "We should cherish the dead as if they were happy, as if they were tranquil, and wish for ourselves the same serenity." To remember is not to cling, but to honor. When we reflect on the love we have lost, we can choose to focus not on the absence, but on the presence it once brought to our lives. Each memory becomes a quiet testament to the fact that we have lived deeply and loved fully. The Stoics also understood the healing power of purpose. In the aftermath of loss, it is easy to feel adrift, as though the anchor of our life has been cut loose. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we are part of something larger. Our existence is not solely defined by our relationships, but by the contribution we make to the world. He writes, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have work to do,' as a human being." In the face of loss, returning to purpose can be a way of finding stability and meaning. Another Stoic tool for processing loss is detachment. Not detachment from love itself, but from the illusions that often accompany it. Love, when approached unskillfully, can become possessive. We think of people as ours, as though they are possessions that can be kept indefinitely. But the Stoics urge us to see love as a gift, not a possession. When the gift is taken away, it is not an injustice, but the natural course of life. This perspective doesn't lessen the depth of our relationships. It deepens our appreciation for them while they last. In practical terms, how do we cultivate this Stoic mindset in the midst of emotional turmoil? Daily reflection is a powerful tool. The Stoics often began and ended their days by contemplating what they had experienced and what they might face. In the morning, you can remind yourself of the impermanence of all things. Today, I may encounter loss, but I have the strength to endure it, and I will meet it with courage and equanimity. In the evening, you can reflect on what the day has taught you, asking, did I honor those I love without clinging to them? Did I accept what I could not control? Mindfulness is another key practice. When grief threatens to overwhelm you, return to the present moment. Notice your breath, the sensations in your body, the world around you. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. By grounding ourselves in the present, we can find a measure of peace, even amidst pain. Community is vital. The Stoics valued the bonds of friendship and the support of others. While loss may tempt us to withdraw, it is in connection with others that we often find healing. Share your grief, but also share your love. Let the people around you remind you of the beauty and resilience of the human spirit. In the face of love and loss, the Stoics offer a timeless reminder. You are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you choose to respond. You can let loss harden you, or you can let it teach you. You can cling to the past, or you can open yourself to the possibility of new beginnings. To live as a Stoic is to embrace life in its entirety, the joy and the sorrow, the love and the loss, with wisdom, courage, and an unshakable commitment to the pursuit of virtue. Through this path, we discover that even in the depths of grief, there is a way forward, a way to love again, a way to live well. As we delve deeper into the Stoic approach to love and loss, we must also address the fear that often underpins our resistance to letting go. The fear of forgetting, of moving on, and of losing the essence of what once was. This fear, though natural, is ultimately misplaced. The Stoics teach us that memory is not static, it evolves. The love we feel for someone does not vanish with their absence. Instead, it transforms. It becomes a part of us, woven into our character, our choices, and our understanding of life. The memories of those we love can serve as a compass, guiding us toward greater wisdom and compassion. Epictetus reminds us that we are stewards of our own minds. The impressions we hold, the narratives we tell ourselves about loss, are ours to shape. If we tell ourselves that letting go means betrayal or dishonor, we chain ourselves to suffering. But if we tell ourselves that letting go is an act of acceptance, a way of honoring life's transient nature, we liberate ourselves. Letting go does not mean forgetting, it means embracing what remains and allowing it to enrich us. One of the most profound tools the Stoics offer for dealing with love and loss is the perspective of time. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the vastness of eternity, reminding himself that the present moment, no matter how painful or joyful, is but a fleeting instant in the grand scheme of existence. This perspective can be deeply comforting when we are grieving. It reminds us that our suffering, intense as it may feel, will pass. Time, like a river, carries everything away. The pain of loss, like the joy of love, is not eternal. It is part of the ever-changing flow of life. Another crucial Stoic practice is the cultivation of indifference. The Stoics classified things as either good, bad, or indifferent. Virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is good. Vice, the absence of these qualities, is bad. Everything else, including love, loss, and even life itself, falls into the category of indifference. This does not mean they are unimportant, but that they do not affect our capacity to live a virtuous life. The love you feel, the grief you experience, and the relationships you cherish are significant, but they are not what define your worth or your purpose. Your response to these experiences is what truly matters. Imagine, as the Stoics often did, the perspective of someone observing your life from afar. They would see your love, your loss, your grief, and your eventual healing as part of a larger narrative, one that is neither tragic nor triumphant, but simply human. This exercise, sometimes called the view from above, allows us to detach from the immediacy of our emotions and see our experiences as part of the broader tapestry of existence. It can bring a sense of calm even in the midst of turmoil. One of the most beautiful aspects of Stoic philosophy is its insistence on resilience. The Stoics believed that humans possess an incredible capacity to endure, to adapt, and to grow. They saw suffering not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to practice virtue. When we lose someone we love, the pain we feel is an invitation to cultivate courage, patience, and gratitude. It is an opportunity to become stronger, not by denying our emotions, but by learning to carry them with grace. This resilience is not about Stoic endurance in the popular sense of the word. It is not about gritting your teeth and suppressing your feelings. True Stoic resilience is about acknowledging your emotions, understanding them, and responding to them with wisdom. If you feel grief, let yourself feel it. If you feel anger, explore its source. If you feel joy in the memory of love, embrace it without guilt. The key is to remain the master of your emotions, not their servant. In moments of deep sorrow, it can be helpful to remember the Stoic concept of impermanence, not as a source of despair, but as a source of awe. Everything you have ever loved, everything you have ever lost, was a gift of the present moment. To have loved at all is to have experienced something extraordinary. The Stoics encourage us to marvel at the fact that we are alive, that we can feel, that we can connect with others in ways that transcend the material. This sense of wonder does not erase the pain of loss, but it can soften its edges. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This idea, while difficult to grasp in the midst of grief, holds a profound truth. Loss is not an aberration. It is a natural part of life. Every relationship, every connection, every moment of love is subject to change. This is not something to fear, but something to accept. Change, after all, is what allows for growth, renewal, and the possibility of new love. In the practice of the memento mori, the Stoics reminded themselves daily of their mortality and the mortality of those they loved. This was not an exercise in morbidity, but in clarity. By contemplating the inevitability of death, they learned to live more fully and love more deeply. When you hold in your mind the truth that nothing lasts forever, you begin to see the extraordinary value of the present moment. Each conversation, each touch, each shared laugh becomes a treasure precisely because it is fleeting. Love and loss are not opposites, they are partners in the dance of life. To experience one is to invite the other. The Stoics understood this and embraced it. They loved deeply, knowing that loss was inevitable. They grieved openly, knowing that healing was possible, and they let go gracefully, knowing that life would continue to offer new opportunities for connection, meaning, and joy. If there is a final thought to carry forward from the Stoics, it is this: love is not diminished by its impermanence. Loss is not the end of the story, and the ability to let go is not a weakness, but a strength, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the wisdom of a heart that understands the nature of life. The Stoics would remind us that in facing love and loss, we must confront one of the most challenging truths of existence, that nothing we cherish is truly ours. Everything we hold dear, our loved ones, our possessions, even our own lives, is on loan from the universe. This perspective might seem harsh, but it is the very foundation of freedom. When we accept that we own nothing, we are no longer bound by the fear of losing what we think we possess. Instead, we are free to experience life with a sense of gratitude and detachment, appreciating each moment for what it is rather than clinging to it as if it could last forever. Seneca offers a poignant metaphor for this in his letters. He likens life to a banquet where we are invited to enjoy what is offered, but are reminded that the dishes will be taken away in due time. To mourn the removal of a dish is to misunderstand the nature of the feast. The Stoic approach then is not to suppress the emotions that come with loss, but to see them as part of the natural ebb and flow of life. We can grieve, but we must not despair. We can love, but we must not cling. In this way, we honor both the transience of life and the enduring value of virtue. One powerful Stoic exercise to deepen this understanding is to meditate on the impermanence of everything we hold dear. Take a moment to reflect on the people you love most. Imagine, with a sense of calm and acceptance, the possibility that they might not be there tomorrow. This is not meant to induce fear or sadness, but to heighten your awareness of their presence in the here and now. By contemplating their impermanence, you learn to appreciate them more deeply, to be fully present in your interactions, and to love without attachment. The Stoics also encourage us to examine the stories we tell ourselves about loss. Often, the pain of loss is not just in the absence of what we loved, but in the narrative we construct around it. We might tell ourselves, "I cannot live without this person," or "I will never be happy again." These thoughts, while natural, are not truths. They are interpretations. The Stoics invite us to challenge these narratives. Is it true that you cannot live without this person? Or is it possible that life, though changed, can continue with new meaning and purpose? By questioning our assumptions, we create space for growth and healing. Marcus Aurelius often returned to the idea that life is like a play, and we are all actors with roles to perform. When the curtain falls on a relationship or a loved one's life, it is not a cosmic injustice, but the natural conclusion of their role in your story. Your role, however, continues. How will you perform it? Will you dwell endlessly on the scenes that have passed, or will you move forward with grace, ready to engage with what comes next? This perspective doesn't diminish the value of what was. It honors it by recognizing its place in the larger narrative of life. The Stoics were also keenly aware of the ways in which loss reveals our attachments. When we lose something or someone, we often feel as though a part of us has been torn away. This sensation is a clue to where we have allowed ourselves to become too entangled with the external. Stoicism is not about eliminating love or connection, but about ensuring that our happiness does not rest entirely on things beyond our control. Love fully, the Stoics advise, but do so with the awareness that your inner peace must remain intact, regardless of external circumstances. This doesn't mean we should live in emotional isolation or fear of attachment. Quite the opposite. The Stoics valued relationships and saw love as a fundamental part of the human experience. But they also saw love as an opportunity to practice virtue. To love someone is to wish for their happiness, to act with kindness, patience, and understanding, even when things do not go as we wish. Love is not diminished by impermanence. It is made more profound by it. Knowing that the people we love will not be with us forever gives us all the more reason to cherish and honor them now. The practice of gratitude is another Stoic tool for navigating loss. Seneca speaks of seeing the time we have with those we love as a gift rather than a guarantee. When someone we cherish is no longer with us, we can choose to focus on the gift of their presence in our lives rather than on the void their absence creates. This shift in perspective does not erase the pain of loss, but it allows us to carry that pain with a sense of reverence and thankfulness. Gratitude also extends to the lessons that loss can teach us. Every experience, no matter how painful, contains the seeds of wisdom. Loss teaches us humility, reminding us of the limits of our control. It teaches us resilience, showing us that we can endure more than we imagined. It teaches us compassion, deepening our understanding of others' suffering. And it teaches us love, not the clinging, possessive kind, but the open, generous love that the Stoics cherished as a virtue. In the face of loss, we must also remember the importance of self-care. The Stoics were not ascetics who denied the value of comfort or rest. They understood that the mind and body are interconnected, and that caring for one's physical and emotional well-being is essential to living a virtuous life. If you are grieving, allow yourself the time and space to heal. Engage in activities that nourish your spirit, whether that means taking a walk in nature, meditating, or spending time with supportive friends. The Stoics encourage us to look beyond ourselves. Loss often turns our focus inward, but the path to healing lies in reconnecting with the world. Acts of service, whether small or large, remind us that we are part of a greater whole. By helping others, we not only honor the memory of those we have lost, but also find new meaning and purpose in our own lives. In giving, we receive. In loving, we heal. In letting go, we grow. Through love and loss, the Stoics teach us to live with courage, gratitude, and wisdom. They remind us that life is a series of moments, each precious, each fleeting. To love is to embrace the fullness of life, and to let go is to honor its ever-changing nature. In this way, we find not only the strength to endure, but the grace to flourish, even in the face of loss. The lessons of Stoicism are not merely philosophical. They are deeply practical, offering a timeless guide to navigating the joys and sorrows that make us human. In the end, the Stoic approach to love and loss offers us a path of resilience, wisdom, and profound appreciation for life's fleeting beauty. Love fully, but without clinging. Grieve openly, but without despair. Let go gracefully, knowing that impermanence is what makes every connection so extraordinary. And above all, remember that even in the face of loss, you have the strength to endure, the capacity to grow, and the power to find meaning in every moment. If this exploration of Stoicism has resonated with you and brought clarity to your own journey, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from these timeless insights. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more reflections on Stoic wisdom, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance to grow in your understanding of life's challenges and opportunities. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective on love, loss, and the lessons of Stoicism. Thanks for watching, and remember, the path to peace and strength begins with your next choice. See you next time.